Hello, everyone. So I am so glad to be on here right now. As you guys know, I have a webinar tonight, Feeling Wounds versus Feeding Wounds. We did sell out, and if you didn't get a chance to get your ticket, no problem at all. We will put it up on vimeo.com/feelgoodlife tomorrow. So that will be available for purchase, and I'll make sure to get a promo code for you guys for 20% off. So that's the first thing. Now, this morning I went to the gym, and a friend of mine walked up to me and said, "How do you do all that? What is all that? How do you do that?" And he didn't really know how to put words to it, but I thought it was very charming. So I gave him the answer I thought was suitable in that moment. And I pretty much just said to him, we have to go inside. We have to constantly point ourselves inside and recognize that this is a simulated reality. Obviously, from a higher dimensional viewpoint, it's still a human reality. It's still very real. But I told him it's a simulated reality, and every time we want to step outside, instead we should go within and digest the information, process the information, metabolize the information, and receive these downloads. Because all downloads unravel in their own time. So that was just what I told him. That's what came to me in that moment. But when I came home, I went into a seated meditation because I wanted to go more in depth with the question. So, and I just got out of my meditation, and I thought I'd share this with you because the download like jerked me. The download was so powerful. So I asked my guides, Merlin, and Merlin is our network, and the higher council of Sirius. I asked them, why is it that I am constantly streaming messages, visions throughout the day? And they said, everyone has this ability. Everyone has the bandwidth to be able to stream messages all day long. And then they said, and this applies to all of you, okay? This is not about me. This is about all of us. Then they said, Phil, you have the ability to, you sincerely believe that every perspective and every thought has its rightful place within the collective. You really believe that no thought should be shunned, no one should be rejected, because thoughts are kind of like little people. So you feel like these thought forms, every thought form should be acknowledged, and every thought form should be validated, and every thought form deserves its rightful place within the collective soup of consciousness. Okay, I said, okay, so what does that mean? What are you trying to get to? They said, you don't hold judgment. Because you don't hold judgment, you're very much mimicking the Akashic records. The Akashic records, which is the living library of everything that's ever existed, is existing, and will exist, including all of the potentials. The Akashic records couldn't have become the Akashic records if it was overly choosy as to who was allowed in its library or what book was allowed to come in. And they showed me that I am like a spiritual librarian, and I welcome all perspectives as having a rightful place within the library. So essentially, I'm mimicking the Akashic records. And I thought that was so profound. And so they continue to tell me that when we can stand in that space of neutrality, and rather than rejecting or denying access to different perspectives, we can welcome them in, because it should not pose a threat if this is an abundant universe and the Akashic Records is an infinite library of information. Anything that's abundant or bountiful does not hold limitation. So every perspective should be included as part of the collective of the oneness frequency. We are all one. We all make up this beautiful jigsaw puzzle that is the fabric of reality, that is the entire universe. And why should one piece of the puzzle get rejected for having an opinion or a voice? So they also showed me that I give everyone a voice. And by everyone, I mean people, but mostly thoughts. So whenever I receive a download, I don't shun it. I don't renounce it. I don't block it. I don't say you're not permitted here. I don't have to affiliate myself to that thought, but I can see how it would pertain, or that perspective or opinion would pertain to someone in the universe that would relate to that thought. So because of this, just because of my expansive space of being able to store as much information as I can, I'm essentially mimicking the Akashic records. And we all can become these Akashic records. We all can become walking portals who have access to many realities at once, and where we don't reject a perspective that just wants to be heard. All right? And I thought that was it truly like struck a chord, because it made sense to me. Because judgment is the thing that makes our heart close. So our hearts close and contract, meaning our energy field starts to compress when our hearts aren't open. And judgment is the very virus that restricts our ability to be able to stream more information. So if you receive a perspective, but then you judge it or reject it, you're still judging it. Instead, welcome it, and you've already made this soup, and say, hey, you can stay over for dinner tonight. Yeah, share with me what you want to share. And then it can tell you a story. Every thought is a storyteller. That's what just came to me. So every thought interlinks together with another matrix of thought and another matrix of thought. So every thought has stories attached to it. And every thought is part of a story. So if we can start to emulate the Akashic records by imagining ourselves to be this infinite library, or this infinite space that can hold as many books as it so pleases, because it welcomes everyone. Now, welcoming doesn't mean you let a parasite attach onto you. It means that you might have a parasite attached to you, but it teaches you where you were still compromising yourself, or where you weren't fully developed in your discernment, and then it becomes a part of the library because it taught you something. Or maybe it's that it's not teaching you anything. Maybe it's just that you receive a download and you're like, oh, cool, I'm going to slot that over there. And then another download comes in, I'm going to slot that over here. And you're compartmentalizing all these thoughts so that you can have the section of romance, so that you can have, which would include all the thoughts around twin flames, soulmates, karmics. You can have the different, the other section that has suspense or horror and all of this. And then you become this infinite library of cosmic information. So if we can start to mimic the Akashic records by removing judgment, by subtracting judgment out of the equation, then we start to connect into and align to the oneness frequency. Because everyone has a right to be heard. Every opinion has a right to be voiced. Every thought has a right to be shared. And if we can look at these different downloads and say, you're welcome here, okay, then you can start to hold and hold and hold more light, because your soul container can withstand more information. And as a result of this, you stretch, and you become a wider field of information. And then, this just came to me now. Because the thoughts feel safe with you and they know that you won't reject them, you keep getting downloads. Wow. Because the thoughts don't feel rejected by you and they feel safe enough to come to you, to be heard, they know that you're going to lend your ear, then that you receive more and more and more downloads. Because you're not closing the door on them. So I love that. Which completely coincides with the download I received in meditation just now. So this is a short video, but I hope that you enjoy it. Let's become the Akashic records. Let's be those record keepers. Let's be these holders of ancient wisdom and future wisdom, by opening up our hearts and welcoming every perspective without necessarily letting it attach to you. It's not about that. It's about opening up a space for everything, for every thought form. And then because they feel safe, they'll keep coming to you. You're going to keep streaming. All right? I love you guys so much, and I hope this helps. And thank you for sharing, subscribing, and commenting. I love reading through all of them. And I will see you in the next video, and sending you infinite love, light, and blessings.